What did you make of Mourinho's comments?
I was wondering whether I saw the same game as he did. After 20 minutes, they had some sort of control. When was this? Every single outfield Liverpool player had a shot at goal in this game. I mean, I've never, in all my years, seen a more one-sided Liverpool-Manchester United game. Sometimes there have been freak on your heels from the first minute to the last minute. There was no point in this game whatsoever. We've been around for a long time. And in every single game, regardless, home, away, wherever, there are periods in a game where you expect the opposition to at least have the ball maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That didn't happen in this game. There was no period at all where Manchester United, well, they couldn't pass the ball to each other properly either. So if you can't pass the ball to your own teammate, you're never going to have any control. There was no control at any stage whatsoever. And my only worry, with about 20 minutes to go, was whether Liverpool were actually going to be able to knock the door down again. Yeah. Because if there was any sort of credit for United, they did get bodies in front of the ball. The goalie made some saves. So from that point of view, that's about the only positive you can give.
First of all, I'd say Liverpool, I have to say they were excellent again. What a joy to watch. Yeah. The epitome of their manager. Perfect fit for this club with this group of fans in this stadium. And a hard-working city. They've got a hard-working, enthusiastic, honest manager. It's exactly what they've needed. And they've had... And it's an upward spiral, right? It has been for a while. Where it will take them, we don't know. But it's a great story at the moment. Man United, as a club, have no leadership from the very top to the very bottom. All the way through, every level of staffing at that club. I'm not talking about behind. I mean, senior football staffing. From board members making decisions, to chief executive, to manager, to players. There's no leadership. The one thing I'd say about Man United here, and I think this epitomises them, there's nothing that happened today that was a surprise. Yeah. Right? There's nothing... How they played was not a surprise. How they were taken apart was not a surprise. How they lumped the ball forward was not a surprise. The 36 attempts in goal is something akin to a team bottom of the league going to a team at the top of the league and absolutely barricading the goal up and just trying to fight for their very survival. I looked at a couple of things, three teams that have been to Anfield among strugglers. Southampton have just sacked a manager, went up to Anfield. They were all beating these teams. Yeah. Liverpool had 12 efforts in goal, right? 12. Cardiff went up there, promoted, struggling. I think it was something like 19, 20. There was another team recently, I can't remember who it was, went up there. Another one of the struggling teams, something like 19 attempts on target. They had double that. Double the amount of efforts on target against one of the biggest, richest clubs in the world. It's frightening. And I honestly, I just don't know where Man United are going. There's no cohesion. I mean, Liverpool have got a plan, the way they play the ball about. How many times did Man United lump it forward, Dan? I mean, they played with three at the back. And then they changed it. It didn't get much better, if any better. But they played with three at the back, which ultimately became five at the back, which is what he wanted. But then you had the midfielders dropping in as well. And they were all holding each other's hand while Firmino was dropping off into the spaces and they were rotating midfield runners.
9 and a goalie. Nine and a goalie behind the ball.
The only way to describe United's performance is the way to sum up the season. It was a shambles.
Here's the thing, and obviously I'm asking you to kind of read between the lines here. But you think back in your day, if a Manchester United team went to Anfield putting that sort of performance, the players, you imagine what it was like for the players on the coach overnight, everything, you know. Yeah. Do you think the players care? Like the United players care about this result as much?
Not enough. You know, you can't always play well. You know, some days your passing's not right. Some days things go against you. You know, there are days where it's just not your day. But what you can't ever cry about is if the desire and the passion and all of those things that make this half of that is what makes this a big game because of the fierce rivalry on and off the pitch. So the only thing you expect as a Man United fan watching your team is that players are going to go around and show that desire and show that will to go and beat your fiercest rival. That wasn't there. Because if you've got that fire in your belly, you don't do what Craig's talking about, and sit with 5 at the back and 4 more in front of it and hope for the best. It should be fire and brimstone. Go and show them what we are. This is what we are. We are Manchester United. There wasn't one player on that field today that told anybody that they were Manchester United.
You talked about how Liverpool were playing kind of in the image of Jurgen Klopp. Is this what we're seeing from United as well with Mourinho?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about squads and Woodwards and signings and structures, I get that. I understand. And it's far from perfect, but there's a lot of clubs that are far from perfect. But the big question is, and it's hypothetical, is if somebody else, if Klopp or Pochettino, whoever was managing their squad of players, would it be better? And I think it's hard to argue against the fact that it would be better. I mean, it might not be ultimately successful in winning the title. I don't think they're good enough. Clearly, they're not good enough for that. But they're better than what we're seeing. And I think that is the big issue here. Better than what we're seeing. Much better than what we're seeing. That being said, you don't always have to look to a manager over at the bench every time to see if you need to change something. You know what I mean? It's like, if you've got leadership in the pitch and it's going as badly as it was, you say, listen, Stevie, get in here beside me and will you push onto him? And listen, when Manny comes inside here, make sure you pushed onto him if he's making those runs. There just seems none of that. You got Matis dropping in, you got Herrera running about like a headless chicken, you got Lukaku up there, miles away. It's horrible.
We've criticised the way that United have played for the whole season.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think we all sort of believe was that, at least coming into a game like this, Mourinho's always, his team, regardless of the quality they've had, they've always been organised in a certain way to not give anything away. Where was that? Yeah. I mean, there didn't look any organisation whatsoever. It didn't look as though they've spent any time on a training field saying, when we lose the ball, here's what we do. Here's where we want to position ourselves. This is what we do. As soon as the ball's cleared, we want to get out. I mean, they never even tried to get out. This smacks of a bunch of players who are not listening to a word that this guy's saying.
Of course, once again, no Paul Pogba in the starting 11. He was on the bench, wasn't brought on at all in the second half. Jose Mourinho was asked about that in the press conference.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No. Why? Because I'm happy with Matic, Lingard and Herrera.
That's out there.
To be honest, and I've said this on the show before, I think Pogba and him, Mourinho, are both culpable for some of the actions and attitude and what we're reading about, but and what we're seeing. But that being said, sometimes it is an excellent time not to be in a team, and this is it. And that might be the wrong way to look at it. But I'm sure Pogba's... And I've questioned his attitude as well, don't get me wrong. Because, at times he's loped about the field as if he owns a joint and they've been struggling. But you can't lump it all in one player. And I think when he's sitting on the side, when he didn't get... I'm surmising here, but when they didn't bring him on today, he's probably... And they're getting hammered and embarrassed, he's probably thinking, well, what's the point of me going on the field? Because I'll only get on, I'll be the story again. So, he's well off just sitting there. He's waiting for him to be sacked.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for him possibly to get sold. And Ed Woodward's waiting. I don't know what he's waiting for. And I go over it again. Alexis Sanchez, I know he's injured, picking up. It is a massive overhaul this club needs now.
It's incredible, that midfield today. Pogba sitting on the sidelines thinking this is better than me.
Listen, Anders Herrera tries his best, but are you really going to play Anders Herrera before Paul Pogba? And again, if you're going to go to Anfield and look to defend, Pogba's been criticised for not putting himself around, but it's a huge game. You've got to play Pogba before Lingard as well. Jesse Lingard is at his best going late in towards the opposition penalty box. Jesse Lingard's not going to sit and shuffle across and defend well and stop the opposition playing. He's not. Surely you have to trust somebody like Paul Pogba and say, right, this is one of the biggest games of the year. Let's really see what you're made of, and you don't even attempt.
Do you know what grates with a player? Do you know what? This is the difference here. It grates with a player when a manager puts you on the bench because he thinks X, Y, and Z is better than you.
Right.
That grates with a player because in the manager's head he thinks he's a better player than me. I'm not having that. I'm playing. But it'll not bother Paul Pogba or any other player one iota if he's leaving me out because there's a personality problem here.
Right.
Because Paul Pogba knows he's better than anybody else in the Man United team. He's got more talent. He's got more medals. He's done more in the game. It only grates with a player and it hurts a player if your manager thinks somebody's better than you, because that's when you really have to think to yourself, well, you know, am I good enough for here? You know, but for him, it's a completely different scenario.
Right.
It is purely a personality challenge and a personality problem between two individuals. That will iron itself out at some point, and I would imagine the way it's going, it would be sooner rather than later.
If you're a Manchester United player and you're going to Anfield in the middle of the run that they are on, and the position they are in the league, and you step out on the field, and Pogba's sitting on the bench, there's no way you're not questioning the manager. So before there's a ball kicked, the players are questioning the manager's decisions. That shows on the
just
field.
Quickly, there's one less thing to worry about, and that's the ball over the top.
Right.
Because one of the things they've struggled with, certainly without Pogba in the team, is anybody in the middle of the park who can get it out his feet and ping one over the top. He can do it. So from a Virgil van Dijk and Dejan Lovren point of view, you know, when the Nemanja Matic gets on the ball, he's decent on the ball, but he's unlikely, maybe now and again, to pick one out. But he's unlikely to dink a little ball right on the sixpence over the top.
Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, let's talk about this Pogba-Mourinho issue. It's a case, it seems, as who will blink first. Mourinho's got to go, hasn't he, surely, before Pogba leaves?
Well, I heard what Craig said, and he said that, you know, it's a personality issue between Pogba and Mourinho. I think it's really a personality issue between Mourinho and Mourinho. Because, again, my understanding is, and I appreciate Pogba's had some performances that really were quite poor, but he's not the one instigating anything against Mourinho. If you want to criticize him for not playing well, that's fine. If you want to criticize him for loping around, that's fine. But he's not the one planting stories in the press about Mourinho or trying to lead a player's revolt against Mourinho or whatever else. If he were doing that, he wouldn't even be on the bench. So I think this is quite simple. This is the creation of a scapegoat. Maybe Mourinho's endgame is that, you know, well, maybe they can loan Pogba somewhere in January, maybe to Inter Milan. He can play some Europa League, get his wages off the books, and then maybe Ed Woodward will let me buy somebody in January, and then we'll see where we are at the end of the season. Maybe that's his endgame. I honestly don't know. Makes no sense whatsoever, especially in a game like this where you know you're going to counterattack, where you know Pogba's long balls to a quick striker could have actually been effective. So I'm beyond trying to figure out what goes through Mourinho's head at this stage.
But to be fair, Gab, and I'm with you to an extent, and listen, Paul Pogba's nothing to do with Man United losing today. Guy never kicked a ball. But what I would say to the point that you just made there about Mourinho planting stories and his people planting stories, I understand that. But when Paul Pogba was going away with France, before the World Cup and after the World Cup, he was making statements to reporters that were being construed in a certain manner. So he's not wholly innocent in this whole thing.
Well, if you're talking about before the World Cup, that's a long time ago.
And after.
I don't know. I frankly, my colleagues in the Red Tops, they love a fight, right? A star player versus big manager. But if you talk to people around and you look at this, look, if you have an issue with Pogba's discipline, then drop him entirely, right? Then leave him out. Then say, I have an issue with the facts he said, with the fact that he says things to the media that go and destabilize the club. Instead, what does he do? But that's not what Mourinho says. Mourinho says that, or implies that, you know, his heart isn't in it. He's not a warrior like Matic and Herrera and blah, blah, blah. And let me take the captaincy, the vice captaincy, away and all this other stuff. So, you know, I don't even think you can frame the debate that way at this stage. He's chosen a scapegoat. He's chosen other scapegoats before him. And we'll see who outlasts who at this club.
Do you know the thing, Dan? The issues are so deep and big at Man United, it's well beyond just one or two star players. Yeah. It's gone beyond that. It might have looked like that maybe a while ago, but the issues now for United are so deep and so destructive that it's gone beyond an individual and a manager. It's long gone past that, and it's been allowed to go past that.
Yeah.
It's been allowed to stagnate and then grow and grow and grow, and it just keeps surfacing every week and after every bad performance and bad result. And there is only one end game for United, and that's to alleviate the manager of his duties. That being said, there's some rumours flying around And I saw somebody report it today on social media that the Glazers are looking to get rid of Man United,
right?
Potentially, possibly, and that might be one of the reasons why they're just sitting tight at the moment and not making any moves on the manager.
I'm aware we haven't really talked about Liverpool or given their justified love. We will be talking about them more on Extra Time. You can catch up on old Extra Time issues, including Adrian dumping his teeth into the floor, doing push-ups over on the website. In Spain, the late game saw Levante